I'm Chris.
I'm Sandy.
And this is Parenting Autism.
Here we go.
Hello, everyone. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Thanks for tuning in to our podcast.
We're here. We made it.
We
2024.
made it. That's right.
That's right. We're a little silly today, but we haven't been able to get on here, and we're doing it today. So thanks, everyone, for tuning in. And
What are we talking about today, Sandy?
we're going to be talking about, well, you printed some stats because we had like some summary about the podcast and like where the most listeners are. And
Yep.
we kind of like seeing the demographics and things like that.
Okay.
So we're going to share that with some shout outs. And then I also was going to introduce here on the podcast that we're going to be doing a newsletter that's
Okay.
kicking off in January. So I'll talk about that. And then lastly, I was going to talk about something I had heard actually. And I was talking about 8 keys to success in parenting our children. And I thought that could be some good discussion for us today.
Sounds like a plan.
And by the time we do all that, it'll be almost an hour and we'll be moving along.
Roger that.
Okay.
Okay.
You want to shout out first to the peeps?
Yes. So at the end of the year, we got some stats from our podcast hosting platform. And it turns out that Dartmouth, Nova Scotia, is one of our most popular cities that listen to us.
We went to Nova Scotia.
Yes.
I have no clue if we went to Dartmouth,
I'm surprised.
but we did go to Nova Scotia.
And some other cities that are popular on our podcast: Chicago, Illinois; Sydney, New South Wales. Oh, I'm going to mess this one up. Milton Keynes. And then Newark, Delaware.
I wonder where Milton Keynes is.
I don't know. We're going to have to
What
look
country?
that
We're
up.
going to have to look that one up.
Hey, listeners. Shout
But
out
hey,
to
thank you.
you. And then
And then 69 different countries.
the most popular ones, of course, are the United States, United Kingdom, Canada, Australia, and Germany.
That's pretty
round
cool.
out the top 5.
Wow.
So thank you, everyone all over the world.
Yeah, we do appreciate it very much.
Yeah.
Very, very good. So, the newsletter. Go
Before
ahead.
you go there,
Yep.
I don't know if I said it on the last podcast or not, but we canceled the phone number. I probably have to take it off the website still.
That'd be a good idea.
Because we just weren't using it that much. So people usually reach out through email.
That's true.
And that's great.
We're trying to be good managers of the money that God's given us, and we are
Amen.
kind of donating out there
That's what we
to
learned
nothing.
today.
Yeah, we did. That was good in
manage.
church, wasn't it?
God gives us the money, we manage it.
That's it. And we are happy to do this podcast and not charge anything. And we do it out of love in our heart and because we want to help other families. And one of the things that I did decide to add to my list of things to do this year is to do a Parenting Autism newsletter. And it's not going to be anything big or fancy, but I thought there's a lot of things that we could share that maybe other families could benefit from. And
Yeah.
that's all I was looking for. And so, for example, for January, I know I'm going to be listing Bryce's top favorite gluten-free, dairy-free snacks and where we purchase those. So if people are looking for ideas on that, I'm going to do that. So probably each month I plan to do something that is food-related that helps us on our journey. I'm going to do something that is like a resource that we have used, whether it be a book, whether it be a game, whether it be something that has just kind of helped cater to our needs as an autism family that's been good. I'll share something like that. I'm going to be sharing about activities that Bryce does. So I know this month I'm going to be sharing something about what he's doing currently in Special Olympics. So just different things like that I think could hopefully give other families ideas of things that they could do with their children or to help their family. So
to sign up for that, you go to our website, parentingautismshow.com and just submit the contact form.
And say that you want to be part of the newsletter. Because I'm not doing it unless I have permission. I'm not emailing it to anyone without their permission.
Right. And the other way is to email us directly at parentingautism@att.net.
Yep. So there will be no spam, but for those who want it, and I do have some people that have written into us in the past, so I reached out to them and asked them if they wanted to participate. Some of you probably may have gotten that email and didn't respond, but several of you did, and that's great. But yeah, if you want to do that, just reach out to us, let us know, and we'll be happy to get you added and anybody else that you think would want to be a part of this. So
yep,
that's something new for the new year.
Yes, and we published our book at the end of last year.
We did.
And you can find that on Amazon, Parenting Autism, The Early Years. And we've been getting some great reviews on it. So if you're looking for some encouragement, or if you know somebody that needs to learn more about autism, it's a great book to give insight as to what it's like.
Yep, that's true. So we are happy for that's going on as well. And we are hoping also to begin sorry, I got cough drop going because I have throat issues, but to be able to start traveling to speak to places. So we're kind of praying about this and asking God to guide where he wants us to go. But churches would be one ideal place, and autism conferences, or where there's families that have children with special needs or disabilities that could benefit from our story and sharing our journey. That's what we're looking to do as well. I think that's all the commercials.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ready?
We're done.
Okay.
Oh. Yeah.
8 keys to success. So I was telling you that when we come on here, I like it when we can just have conversations, because that's really what it's about.
Let's have a conversation.
Yeah. I mean, we could recap like everything that we've done in the past month, but I don't know that everybody really wants to hear
Bryce
that.
lost a tooth today.
And he lost one last week in Michigan.
Yeah.
Yeah. So actually, we could talk about those couple of things. No, okay. I will say this, though, about him losing his tooth, right? Because that could be a really dramatic thing.
Yes.
A, there's blood involved. B, you suddenly have this hole in your mouth. And he wasn't expecting it, so there was no time to prep.
And you're losing a part of your body.
So the fact that
he was a trooper.
He so calmly said, well, last week...
The first one was a little painful when he wiggled it. So he was worried.
Well, and what he did was he said, I don't really want to tell you that I have a wiggly tooth right now because something's going to happen. It's going to come out. I'm like, what did you say? Right. So he was saying it out loud, but he really wasn't telling us. And then he's like, well, I have this tooth that's really loose. I'm like, oh, it is really loose. So it might be better if you get it out.
He said, when's it going to come out? When's it going to come out? I said, well, it's really wiggly. I think it'll be today.
Yep.
And he kept wiggling. I said, if you keep wiggling it, it'll come out.
Yep. And he did. And it came out, and that was all good. And then this morning we were getting ready for church. He was eating his orange, and the next thing we know,
there was silence.
You said, what's going on, Bryce, with you and your orange? And then he goes, I lost a tooth. What?
Another one.
But he just so calmly, matter-of-factly said it.
Now he's brave about it.
Yeah. And then he was looking, goes, I think I see a little blood when he was brushing his teeth. I said, yeah, you are, but we'll just put some cold water on it. You'll be good. And he handled everything great. But I have to say, I know we're going to go into these 8 keys to success, but...
Yeah, sorry.
No. This is good because we really haven't been on here for about a month. So we had a great Christmas. Bryce was great with that. We had a great New Year's. We went up to Michigan. And I will ask prayer for little K, because I don't know if we've mentioned that when he was born in October. But I do want to bring him back to the prayer list of our listeners who pray. And so our niece's baby, his name is Kenneth Harriman IV, but they call him Little K. He was born October 23rd, and he has congenital myotonic dystrophy. And this is a genetic disease that is in my family that has affected my brother, 2 of my nephews, my niece, and now my great-nephew, as well as cousins and other relatives. So it's a pretty severe disease that attacks muscles, and it gets worse from generation to generation, and that's why the baby has it so severely. They knew this from his ultrasound, because they could see that he had club feet. And my niece had an enormous amount of the amniotic fluid retention. So they knew that those were signs. They confirmed that he definitely had it. And so because of that, he was born at the NICU in Michigan. Was it Mott's Children's
Hospital in Ann Arbor.
So they had a team there ready to bring him out and to intubate him right away so that he could get oxygen because his lungs could not perform on their own. And so he has been in the hospital since late October. Yep. And this is January 7th that we're recording this. So we really felt like we needed to go and visit them and love on them. And so our schedules worked it out. The Lord worked it out. A dear friend actually gave us her points for airline tickets so that we could fly up there. And it was such a great visit. He is very fragile still. He's progressing. He's 10 pounds now, so he looks healthy in that regard. It's just his lungs are still very fragile. His part of his diaphragm is paralyzed. They don't know if that will change or not. But he has come off of 2 ventilators, and he is now on the CPAP, but he's on that full time. Like, he has to still have assistance. And so I think there's still a far cry from getting him home, but making progress. And God has done a lot, but there's still a lot to do to get our little boy home. So if you guys would just pray for him, we would really appreciate that, because God hears prayers. He answers prayers. We know that with Bryce because he was in the NICU and was supposed to be there for months. We were told he could be blind, have cerebral palsy. It was a very grim outlook for him, and none of those things happened. And yes, we still have to get EEGs and monitor him for seizures, but it could have been so much worse, and I know that was answered to prayer. So we believe in the power of prayer. We're just praying for them to have wisdom. And most of our listeners, we know that your children are probably been affected by autism. And with that comes a lot of other diagnoses and health problems that you've dealt with. So you know what it's like. And so if you could just pray for Star, Kenny, little K, and they also have a 3.5-year-old daughter named Skylin, which is hard for her too. But we had a great visit with all of them, and just ask for those prayers. So that was pretty much our month. I was going to say we really haven't had any major hiccups, and the clinic we were talking about before, we're on a break from that from the holiday, but we did get Bryce back to the clinic. The winning factor there was that, this is the ABA clinic, I'm sorry, was that they had a Wii there. And Bryce has been wanting to try playing on a Wii game console. And so he helped them hook it up. He got to play that. And we made some other arrangements to where he would just be supervised and have somebody with him at all times. So I know we kind of left that one hanging last time, but that's good. And we've actually just had a really good month, and we don't always get to say that. So I guess that's why we can just bounce right into something else, and that would be good. And I'd even thought about this podcast, like we were setting goals for ourselves and maybe recapping 2023, but I feel like we don't really need to do that. I think let's just keep onward and forward and be grateful for the great year that we had and all the progress. And we'll talk about some of these keys to success and help some other families. Whew, I feel like I talked a lot. Let's make sure, let people know you're still here.
Let's get to number 1.
Thank you. So number 1, my Lordy. Okay. Write your manifesto. What was that? I said, well, you write a list with the values, so you have that as a guide. And I don't know that we've ever done anything like that. Like, really, what is our big goal and what's guiding us for Bryce? I mean, I don't think we've put it in writing. I should say it that way. What do you think about that as a key to success?
Like, what do I want for Bryce? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I would say that.
I would love for Bryce to eventually have a job and be able to support himself.
That's the vision. That's number 3.
Okay. Well, then tell me what number 1 is.
I know, right? List your values. Like, what are
Am I going to fire you?
You don't have to, but it says list with values as a guide, your manifesto.
I have no money in my pocket, so I have no value.
Oh, goodness.
All right. Number 2. edit people. How do you edit people?
Yeah. Edit people and things that are not working.
Oh, okay. So
We've done that.
yeah, just take things out that don't work, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's my notes that I made. I know this isn't flowing smoothly. I don't know what it is. It's just in my brain. This must be how Bryce feels because I've been eating gluten and I shouldn't, and I feel like I can't think clearly. Anyway, you are not the person that you were before the diagnosis. And that's a fact.
Right.
Like, you're the same person, but everything shifts in your life. Whatever your plans were before your child was diagnosed with autism, they change. It's just a natural thing because it's one of those situations. And we can't carry other people's luggage. This was the comment that the lady made when I was listening to her speech about this. And you know what? I understand what she's saying. Like, I can't take on other people's drama. I can't take on other people's luggage. I can't take their problems. And if somebody is just, it feels like they're weighing you down on your journey, whether it's because they're not supportive, whether it's because they just complain all the time and they're an energy or a joy drain, you know, you got to surround yourself with people that are going to make you feel uplifted and be a part of your team, you know, and your goals, right?
Well, we've all heard that you are the product of your 5 closest friends, right? So your 5 closest friends, you'll probably be most like, right?
True.
So look at your 5 closest friends and see if that's where you want to be.
Well, that's your inner circle. But let's talk about like trimming the fat on your outer circle.
I don't have an outer circle.
You do.
Do I?
You do.
Okay.
Outer circle would be people like Bryce's therapists,
Okay.
Bryce's doctors. So let's just talk about in the perspective of parenting Bryce. So if we have a therapist or we have a doctor or we have somebody that is an influence of some sort in our circle and it's just not lining up.
Yeah.
Like we've changed doctors before because that it was time to make that change. It's okay. You can do that. That's editing. That's editing his care.
Okay.
Like we changed his autism doctor from one to another. And we've changed therapists before. We've changed therapy places before because we were just at a different season of life, and you can make those changes and you can make those edits. And whether it's people, whether it's a service, you know, we recently had stopped the music therapy, and not because anything went wrong. It was just, we felt like Bryce was done with the therapy part of it.
There was a plateau.
And he was ready to put that more into lessons where he can actually learn. And it is very different having music therapy versus having music lessons. And so
I think you graduate from music therapy to get music lessons. Like music therapy is all about feeling good, learning instruments, playing different instruments, learning the sounds, you know. And then what we found was with Bryce, he gravitated toward a couple of instruments and that he really liked, and then we saw that. And then music therapy, just he didn't have the interest in it that he once did, and we knew that he was ready for a break from that and maybe to learn how to play the instrument.
I think that's where his focus is. Yeah. And that's what I'm saying, like on this journey. And that, was it an easy decision? I don't think canceling a service is necessarily an easy decision when we've developed relationships with the therapist. And it's not because something went wrong.
Right. If it went wrong, then it's easy.
Then it would be an easy decision.
Yeah.
But when it's someone that, you know, you really like and you've come to know and, you know, and it's been a good thing, but everything has a season and we only have so much time on our calendar, and it has to kind of fit in with our schedule. And I think there's just a lot of things on that. And I think you just have to be able, as a parent, to give yourself that permission to do those kind of things.
If we put anything else on our schedule, we're going to need a night shift.
and we need our sleep. So yeah, I hear what you're saying. You know, again, we've talked about this before, prioritizing, and everybody has the same amount of time, but what you do with it is important and how you invest it. So I thought that was a really good, valid key to success, you know, is knowing that you can make those changes for things that are not working. And then that does roll to the next one, which I do kind of agree, sound like that manifesto, but have a vision. And what is our vision for Bryce? And if we have a clear vision, what we're working toward, then all these decisions that we're making and that we're talking about, like, hey, does therapy help him toward that? Does this therapy help him toward that? Does the music lesson help him toward that? You know, what is that you're working toward? I think if you have that, you can check some yes and no boxes to kind of align with that. Does that make sense? Or do I just still feel like I'm rambling in my head?
I feel like I want him to know the Lord. I
Yes.
want him to have work that he enjoys. And I would love for him to live independent, you know, because I think all of us parents wonder that for our kids, you know, is that really going to happen? And you really don't even know if that's going to happen until they reach that age where they can, or, you know, can try doing those things. And it's always a big question mark for us. We can't really dwell on it, or it'll suck it out of us, you know. But we just take one day at a time. We do our best to expose him to good things, and that's all we can do is do our best. That's it, you know.
I got you.
So, yeah. I'm rambling now.
Yeah, we're both rambling.
I don't know.
That's all right. We're paid to ramble.
No, we're not paid.
No, we're not. I know we're not. Oh, heaven help me. Okay, we're going to continue this. I feel fuzzy. I just want to say this. So here's what she had said on that note.
Okay.
If it's college, start a college fund, if that's what your vision is. And because it can always change to a culinary school, you know, if your child changes. But her point was, even if you start putting away $1 a pay period, it's in your mind that you know you're working toward this vision. Okay, so you and I have talked a lot lately about, okay, Bryce is 10 now. Where do we think he is going to be 10 years from now? And decisions that we're making should kind of help align to that. So specifically what you said, yes, we definitely want him to have a great relationship with the Lord. And I have to tell you, when he came out of church today, he was all excited. He was showing us his card, and he was the card with the notes from the lesson. He was asking us what it meant to manage money, because he gets the same teaching that we get, just on a child's level. And he said, I said, it's kind of like if you're the boss of the money, right? And he goes, oh, well, God is the boss of everything on this earth. And I'm like, yes, he is. And then he starts jumping up and down with excitement. Like, I see Bryce learning about the Lord and loving the Lord and growing, and we'll continue to nurture that, which is great, right? We're talking about the job that you said we want him to get a job that he loves. And I mean, right now he's 10, he wants to be a pilot. I think there are a lot of boys that would love to be a pilot. It doesn't always pan out, but maybe he can work at an airport. Maybe he loves elevators. He loves space. We were talking about if we were to move or relocate, wherever we live, we would like it to be in an area that would help Bryce find those jobs. You know, it's like live near where they would have an airport that he could work at. Or we were even kicking around, like if we live closer to the Kennedy Space Center, then maybe he could get a job there at NASA, because they probably have a lot of job opportunities. And being that he has such an engineer mind, it could really match up for him, you know. And again, this is like thinking ahead. So as we're making plans now, if we have those kind of visions and talks, it will help us, I think, get to where we're supposed to go. I mean, we know God can come in and change plans, right? I mean, we see that in our life all the time. But I do think that you still have to, even though you kind of live day to day, having a big vision and something that you actually feel you're tangibly working toward is a good thing. So that's what that was. The fourth one was follow the science. as a key to success. And I think I didn't really make any notes on that, but what's your take on following the science, like doing the research and just kind of seeing what we can do to continue to help him, like with supplements and the things that we do like that? I mean, I feel like we've done a great job with that. And we is kind of used loosely there because I feel like that's mainly been you that's taken that on for Team Bryce.
I think one thing that I haven't done that I would like to do in 2024 is to somehow sign up for PubMed publications on the latest autism discoveries. So I'll have to figure out how to do it. But PubMed is a medical journal where all the trials are taking place and research papers are published. And it's really the latest information that's coming out about really any type of medical subject that you want to learn about. So a lot of times when I'm doing research on a supplement or a medicine or a treatment, I'll look for the PubMed articles because they're usually from doctors that do the trials, and they go into detail about what the trials are and what the outcomes are and all that stuff. So that would have to do with science.
Yeah, it would.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, see, I think that's great because I think when you first get your diagnosis, it's obviously so overwhelming and you're trying to figure things out. And we do have the internet, but you have to be careful because a lot of that is just people's opinion. And let's keep it real. Here on this podcast, we try to say, hey, this is just what works for us, for Bryce. We're not trying to give solutions as we know how to help your children kind of thing. But I do think that, learning and following the science and seeing what's working, what's not working is a good thing to do, know, especially because things are always changing. And what they knew 10 years ago when Bryce was born could be changed now to where he's 10 years old, and we have to kind of keep continuing to look at those things. So I think that is a key to success. The fifth one she said was to make the school afraid of you. So our situation, we homeschool, so we don't need to be afraid of ourselves. But I understood her point, and I would say the majority of our listeners probably do not homeschool because it's not everybody is cut out to do that. Just with their personalities and as well as finances is always a big one as well. But most kids have an IEP at their school, which Bryce used to have when he was at the public school. And, the talk was to have success is having that relationship with the people at the school who work with your children, with the teachers, of course, and also with the therapists that are there as part of the school providing services for your child. And she's the lady that was speaking that I was listening to. She was saying that one thing she did was she wrote letters of recommendation for the teachers and or the therapists who were helping her son, who did a great job. And that was something that it motivated them to do well with her son because she would be writing a letter of recommendation. And so she's just saying, develop that relationship with them. You want them to know who you are. And that doesn't mean really in a scary, bad way. But I do think that you have to take on that you are your child's advocate. And that's in the school system as well as anywhere else. And I know that there are actually people, that's their job. They're like advocates to go and represent these families at their IEP meetings and different things. I personally, that's not the job that I would want. That's what some people have, but I have learned to become more vocal and to be an advocate for Bryce. And, my niece that I mentioned earlier on this podcast, her and her husband are at the NICU with their son. And we're telling them, you're the parents and you have to speak up for him. And if there's something that you think the doctors are recommending or that they're doing or the nurses that doesn't set well with you, you have to speak up because he can't. He literally can't. And you have to be there for him. And, we have to do that with our children. And we have to just remember, we are their advocates. There's no way Bryce could represent himself right now. He has a hard time recapping things that happen when we ask him how something went, when we leave him with somebody for a period of time. So just remember the importance of that. And that is definitely a key to success. Number 6, which I think we do well, is celebrate everything that you can. And she must have made some reference that, I don't know, it prompted me to write this down, that we did tile shopping with ABA. Now, how that was celebrating, I don't know. But I do think that working, like you continue your normal scheduled life.
What's tile shopping with ABA?
You're going to ask me that. So
everybody
here's
else
what
wants
we
to know
did.
too.
So, remember a few years ago when we were doing the bathroom project?
Yeah.
The master bath? And Bryce had ABA with Miss Alyssa.
Mm-hmm.
And so you would take Alyssa and Bryce with you to the tile stores to pick tiles out. And she was a part of the process because you had to get things done, but Bryce was receiving ABA. And we're like, well, a lot of it's getting out into the community. And I think he was not so easy to manage at that point because he was probably like 5, I want to say.
Yeah.
And so we would celebrate things like if he could go out for the whole day and he would get rewards, and we do a big reward system. And even like when he went to VPK for the pre-kindergarten, and if he got a green choice card, he would get to go to the car wash and we would celebrate that. I just think, and we still implement this. In fact, we have a point system that we use with Bryce. It works really well right now. And every child is different. And we've changed things with Bryce.
Have we talked about the point system?
I don't know, but it's working really well.
So you find, a few of the favorite things for the child, and you I don't know, you set the number of points that it takes to achieve whatever that like is. Like for Bryce, the example is going to be better than me trying to describe it.
Yeah,
so
just go.
He likes Chick-fil-A and Domino's Pizza. So we assigned points to Chick-fil-A and Domino's Pizza. And
I did it like 50 cents a point in my head.
So when Bryce does a chore or does something good or overcomes a fear or whatever it is that's, praiseworthy, we say, oh, go give yourself 3 points for that. Go give yourself a point for that. Or, whatever we think in our mind that is worth. And then he'll go to the whiteboard and then give himself points. He'll erase, let's say he's got 10 points. He'll erase that and put 13 on there. And then he knows that when he gets to, what's the minimum?
I think 18 for Domino's.
18 points, then he gets himself a Domino's pizza anytime he wants, right?
Right.
He could order it right away or he could save it for a special time.
Yep.
And it's really great because it's at the forefront of his mind a lot about where he's at with his points,
Yeah.
So it's been really good.
And it's celebrating.
In our house.
It has.
It's celebrating these milestones. Like on vacation, he was so good. When we got home, I'm like, go give yourself, I don't know, 5 or 10 points. I told him, I said, go give yourself 10 points. It's you did great in the restaurant. You didn't need your headphones,
Yeah, we'll reward him for that.
And there was other situations on vacation that he did really well with. And
I gave him points this morning because he lost that tooth and he did so well with that. Mm-hmm. And I said, you know what, Bryce? Won't you go? I said, I'm going to give you points for losing this tooth and last week losing that tooth because we don't do a tooth fairy thing, Yeah. And I said, I'll give you points for that because you handled it so well and I'm so proud of you. You were so brave. Mm-hmm. I go, how about 5 points for both teeth? He goes, well, that's an odd number. So how about we go with 6? I said, all right, we'll give you 6.
He is the negotiator.
And then he
That's
goes,
a good skill that he has.
I know. And he goes, well, it would be hard for me to, do that with, and that's an odd number. I don't know. My brain says it needs to be even. I said, all right, well, we'll do 6. That would be 3 a tooth.
That's funny.
It was cute. Yeah. But that really, really works with him. And the celebrating is good, and I love that, like,
And
he does negotiate.
we don't ever deduct points. It's
no, you mentioned that once, and it did not go well. So I'm like, no.
So it's just a
we just make it positive
praise thing.
You won't get points, and we'll say there are
right.
things that no, you're not going to get any points for that, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But we don't deduct because it just devastates Bryce. Right. He doesn't do well with that. So, next one, be willing to learn new things.
What number are we on?
7. 7 of 8. So 8 keys to success. Number 7 would be willing to learn new things. So don't always cater to the need for sameness if it will prevent progress. Let me repeat that so I understand it. Don't always cater to the need for sameness if it will prevent progress. And I get this. So in other words, we can't let Bryce get stuck in a routine rut if it's going to prevent him from progressing.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
You got to try new things.
Yeah.
And I have seen that with him. So the last couple of weeks, our schedule has not been the same.
Right.
And it kind of tripped him up a little. He handled it, but it did mess with his mind a little bit. So we had Christmas falling on Monday and New Year's falling on a Monday. And then we took the trip up to Michigan. And so I had to change my work schedule. So there was one day that I actually worked an additional day. So it was Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And then this last week, I worked Thursday and Friday instead of Tuesday and Thursday. And then his therapies, those dates got changed as well. And he did have to ask us a few times, like, why is that happening? But he didn't have any meltdowns. He wasn't upset about it, but it messed with him. Mm-hmm. And I thought to myself, this is good. I mean, it messes with me too when my schedule's off, but it messes with him in a whole other way. And so I think if we cater too much to try to keep everything consistent so that it doesn't trip him up, in the end, that could be a bad thing for him because he needs to be able to learn how to tolerate changes, especially if they're unexpected changes. And then we can go back to the normal routine. But if you have a situation where your child needs to do everything precisely at a certain time, at a certain day, at a certain
rigidity.
Then that can sometimes prevent progress. And so you have to just identify those things and learn how to make those changes and make the changes in a small increment, I would say, and prep them as much as you can. But we've learned too, over the period of time, we can't always prep for the changes. So when we can, we do, but we can't always do that. So I thought that was good too. And then the last key to success would be to prioritize health, including ours. And so that's something I'm really looking at as well. And I'll probably talk more about that this year on the podcast and also share some stuff in the newsletter. I know that I'm walking more now because it's good for my body. It's also good for my mind. I don't think I can go back into a gym right now. I'm not feeling that calling, but just being able to get outside and take a good brisk walk for 15 to 30 minutes, it's so good for me. And it's good for my mind and my health. I've been reading more books, trying to just kind of get back to some of those things that I enjoy. And not just books about autism. I have to take a break from books that are like educational, but like things where my mind can get lost. That's why sometimes I like mindless TV. That's why I enjoy The Voice. That's why I enjoy watching different shows that I know are good, clean entertainment for me. And so I think that the more we can do for ourselves to keep us healthy and to keep us happy, then our children will be healthier and happier. Because if you, as the parent, aren't feeling it, aren't feeling healthy, aren't feeling happy, they feed off of our feelings and our emotions. And so we got to kind of set that example. And it is true. You hear about if you're on the airplane, give yourself oxygen before you give it to the child. It's true, though. We got to do that in our parenting as well. And I want to see you take care of yourself and your health in 2024 as well.
I'll talk to myself about that.
Would you please do that? Because we need you, Daddy.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's really what I brought to the table today. Man, I don't know what's wrong with my brain, though. I have to say, it is kind of
Cloudy.
Yeah.
Well, you know why?
It's the gluten.
Well, what did they give us at the end of church today?
A cookie.
Yes, it's the sugar.
Know.
It makes your brain cloudy.
You think it's sugar?
Yeah, for sure. Well, it's the gluten and the sugar. I mean, you got...
I have issues. I know. See, that's what I'm talking about with the health, for real. And it's hard sticking to a gluten-free, dairy-free diet. It is, especially during the holidays. I like pie. I'm not going to lie. It's good.
I'm not going to lie.
I do like pie. And there's
Don't
two
even
sitting
try.
in my fridge. But
so sly.
I know.
On the fly.
Or I'll die.
I'm going to cry.
I'm going to cry.
Okay.
Oh, my word. So anyway, that's what you got today, people. Foggy brain Coulters right here. But we'll be back to record again. Hope we didn't lose any listeners over this debacle.
This will be known as the debacle episode. Thank you for listening to the debacle.
It's been nice knowing you. Oh, gosh.
We'll be back soon, people. Thanks for listening, and we really appreciate all these people in all these countries.
Yeah, in all seriousness, thank you.
And share, too, hey, if you're in a Facebook group or something, say, hey, I've heard this podcast, and I really like it, or I really hate it, or, whatever.
No, it's good. We appreciate you guys. And if you have any suggestions, any topics you want us to discuss, that's very helpful for us too. Send us a note. Let us know. We'll be happy to chat about them.
Don't forget about the newsletter.
Don't forget about the newsletter.
That'll be nice.
That will be good.
That's a nice email to get. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I do.
Instead of like spam.
Right. That's where we're trying to spread the love.
Okay. See y'all.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.